Have you ever been in a great group photo only to see it and immediately think, oh no, please delete that one? Trust me, you are not alone. It's this super common feeling, right? But we almost never talk about why we feel that way. So let's get into it. Let's actually explore the fascinating psychology behind why so many of us hate seeing ourselves in photos.
You know that feeling, right? That little cringe when a friend tags you in a post. Or maybe you're the one who kind of ducks out of the way when a camera comes out at a party. Or you're just immediately hitting delete on every picture. And look, if that sounds like you, I want you to know it's not just about being vain. It's usually something much, much deeper. And our whole investigation into this feeling, well, it starts with a simple, almost invisible mismatch between how you think you look and how you actually look. Okay, so our very first clue is something we all do every single day. We look in the mirror and we think we know our own face, right? But here's the thing. The person you see in the mirror isn't exactly the same as the person you see in a photograph. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. Every day, you're looking at a mirrored version of your own face, a reflection. Your brain gets super used to that reversed image. It becomes like the blueprint for me in your head. But a photo, that shows you how everyone else sees you, unreversed. There's actually a name for this. It's a psychological principle called the mirror exposure effect. And it just means our brains like what's familiar. So when you see the real you in a photo, it creates this tiny little shock. It just feels a little off, doesn't it? And that feeling, that's often the very first reason we pull back from a photo. But, that little mismatch is really just the tip of the iceberg. The discomfort usually runs way deeper, and it taps into some of our core anxieties. Because it's not just about bad angles or weird lighting. It's about what that single frozen image represents. Not just to us, but maybe more importantly, to other people. I mean, just think about it. A fleeting expression, a goofy face, a bad angle. It's all suddenly frozen in time. And that's the thing. A photo feels permanent. And with that feeling of permanence comes this sense of really high stakes and a lot of vulnerability. And that is where social anxiety can really kick in. Suddenly, that permanent picture becomes this thing that people can look at and analyze and, well, scrutinize. We start worrying, what are they going to think? How will they see this? It feels like that one single picture could totally define us in someone else's mind. And of course, that fear of being judged can escalate fast. Being captured in a still image like that, it's so vulnerable. And it can trigger this really deep, almost primal fear of being made fun of, especially for something in the picture you can't even change. And then there's social media. In today's world, that fear just completely explodes because a photo that gets posted online, it can literally live forever. It can be seen by who knows how many people, and it's completely 100% outside of our control. That's the ultimate loss of control over our own image. And honestly, that can be terrifying. So, if we really look closely, this photo anxiety is usually fueled by three big things that are all kind of linked together. First up, if you're already dealing with low self-confidence, a photo can feel like cold, hard proof of all the insecurities you already have. Second, if you're a bit of a perfectionist, then no real actual photo is ever going to live up to that perfect image you've got in your head. And finally, there's that deep discomfort with the loss of control. I mean, once that picture is out there, you have no say in how people see it. Okay, so if all those feelings are like the kindling for a fire, then social media is like pouring gasoline all over it. It just takes every single one of these anxieties we already have and dials them up to a whole new level. Yeah, social media really does create a perfect pressure cooker. We're just constantly scrolling through these perfect highlight reels of everyone else's lives, right? And we're comparing our own normal, unedited reality to their perfectly curated, filtered, and angled pictures. What this does is create this totally impossible standard of perfection. And it can even lead to this dependency on filters just to feel, acceptable. And the result of all this, it can be pretty devastating. When you're just surrounded by this digital world of completely flawless images, a regular, normal, unedited picture of yourself can start to feel deeply and fundamentally unacceptable. Okay, so we've unpacked a ton of the anxiety and the insecurity side of things. But what if that's not the whole story? I mean, what if hiding from the camera isn't always a sign that something's wrong? Let's kind of challenge that whole idea for a minute. As it turns out, there are actually a lot of totally valid, healthy reasons to be camera shy that have zero to do with insecurity. For a lot of people, it's really just about valuing their privacy, especially in a world that is always pushing us to share everything. For other people, especially if you're more of an introvert, it's just a genuine dislike of being the center of attention. And hey, sometimes it's as simple as choosing to live in the moment, to actually experience something instead of just trying to document it. So, with that in mind, let's try to reframe this whole conversation. Instead of looking at camera shyness as some kind of flaw, what if we could see it as a reflection of something else entirely? Just let this idea sink in for a second. Avoiding photos doesn't automatically mean you're unattractive or that you're weak. A lot of the time, it just means you're sensitive about perception. You think about how things look and how you're seen. And you know what? That kind of sensitivity can also just mean you have depth. Now, it is really important to add a quick note of care here, because while this is often totally normal, it might be a sign of something more if it's causing you extreme anxiety, like if it's making you skip social events, or if it's connected to really deep feelings of self-hate, or it's making you isolate yourself. It can be so helpful to talk about it with a trusted adult, or maybe even a counselor. So I really want to leave you with this one last thought to chew on. We give photos so much power over us, don't we? We let them define how we feel about ourselves. But what if we just change that? What if a photo isn't some final judgment? What if it's just a moment? Just one single fleeting moment in a whole story, your story, that is so much bigger and richer and more complex than any camera could ever hope to capture.